Hello everyone. Hello Twitter. Hello everybody. I hope you are doing well. I am Pierre, the founder and the CEO of Galileo Protocol, advocating for blockchain and RWA tokenization. And today I have the pleasure to have a discussion with the CEO of Blocksquare, Denis. Denis, that's the pleasure to welcome you today. How are you?
Good. And pleasure is mine. We just spoke just before going live. It's been like 2 years. Last time we were on the same, I think it was Next Space at the time. So good to see Galileo still being present on the market within 2 years. And for everybody who doesn't know me, I'm Denis. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Blocksquare. And just like in short, we provide the infrastructure for tokenizing real estate assets, so bringing real estate value on chain.
Excellent. And how have you been doing for the past 2 years?
Um, Honestly, I think we've been doing quite well. So we've launched this DeFi play in 2022 called Oceanpoint because we saw that there's kind of a crossroads that we came to. So one was the so-called securitization of real estate and bringing tokens that represent kind of equity in an SPV that owns a real estate asset. And then the other route was the DeFi route. And we saw that there's it's less clear, but there's not many players playing in that in a sandbox or in that field. And we went the DeFi route, bringing economic rights onto the market. And we've been quite successful. I think we've tokenized almost 150 million worth of real estate assets so far. We have currently 15 marketplace operators live on our infrastructure, which means companies that kind of directly bring supplies, real estate assets on chain and deal them to their kind of investor communities. They're spread across different jurisdictions, different markets, and these assets are in almost 30 countries now. We've made quite a lot of progress in terms of the legal framework that we use to bring real estate asset value on chain. And that was kind of in 2023. We did a pilot in Slovenia. So Slovenia is a country where all three co-founders come from, where we basically notarized a tokenized asset, real estate asset. Okay. And then now we're bringing this more towards the market. We've established a footing in Luxembourg as well. So I think things are going well. They're progressing well. It's always like, the community wants everything tomorrow, but RWA, as you well know, is not something that you can build as in a day.
No.
It's more like Rome, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There is the software development that is taking time and taking financial resources, but there is also like you were mentioning, the regulation around this tokenization, and especially the real estate tokenization, which I imagine is a little bit more, you will have more obstacle in comparison with the tokenization of a shoe or a t-shirt, because there is all the different regulatory bodies, such as the lawyers, the notaries, the governments, and so on and so forth. And by the way, so I have been taking a lot of notes about the different things that you have been saying, and I would like during this EMA session to deep dive in some of the topics. But if you allow me, Denis, what I would like to do before is to understand the genesis, to tell us who you are and maybe what is your background, why you decided to join forces with your co-founders to create Blocksquare, and why you decided to go into the real estate tokenization.
Okay. So let's go back, right?
Yeah.
So we can go as far back as my childhood, actually, because Victor is the CTO and co-founder. We both know each other since childhood. I think around fifth or sixth grade, I would say, when we both started training alpine skiing, and we were kind of in the same club and became friends and stayed friends ever since, in a way. And then back in 2016, I came across this thing called Ethereum. It was early 2016. There was no hype around it yet. But I met some people here in Ljubljana, in Slovenia, who were kind of already involved in the Bitcoin thing and talking about this Ethereum and blockchain, and it spiked my interest from an entrepreneurial standpoint of view. And that kind of then got me into digging more, reading the white paper, reading all the resources around it. And then I brought it up over a beer to Victor, who's the IT guy, right? And runs a software development company. And it seemed cool at the time. And so we, said, what if we do like an internal research of how this might be applicable? Maybe it becomes relevant very soon to the clients we serve. And that was mainly enterprise clients. So kind of more institutional type of clients that they served, insurance companies, telcos, stuff like that, right? Government. And that's where we brought in. Then we soon saw that there's legal questions that always come into place, and that's where Peter joined in. Victor knew him. He was like a fintech lawyer, and was very interested in blockchain at the time, in crypto. And today he's actually, a lot of times called by the Slovenian TV stations to comment on crypto and stuff like that. And in that process, I had my first real estate investment. I exited from a company before that, and I made an investment into a real estate asset, and that investment got me curious about real estate as an investment class. And at the same time, doing this with the blockchain lab, we came into, how could this be applied to real estate? And that's kind of where the first idea of Blocksquare kind of came to be.
How big is your team currently? So you just told me that you are located in Slovenia. Is all your team located in Slovenia currently?
No, actually, we had a big struggle of building out this team in Slovenia at first. What we were doing, that was back in 2017, right? Building up the first foundations. Um, um, and we had no traction. So it was not until 2020 when we actually got real actual traction on the market and when we started growing the team. And at the time there was this COVID thing and remote work. And so we now a fully remote team of 35, 36 people.
Okay.
And we're spread across the world. So we have people in marketing, in sales, the dev team. Everybody is basically working remotely. And this office, I just basically today resigned the contract because we had like a 1-year contract for it. I said, look, we're not going to even have this office anymore because nobody uses it. So I come here to shoot a video every once in a while, but we want to go remote first, like fully remote. And I don't want to have like the Slovenian team being in the office and everybody else behind the desk. Everybody needs to have the same playing field, so that we can all have like a common ground, which is currently Slack. Slack is our meeting point every day.
Yeah, it's funny because I did quite of the opposite, because at the beginning of Galileo everybody was remote, but one day I decided that I need to be within the same room with all my team members, and then I decided to switch the model. I think, like always, there is pros and cons for such models. Maybe an hybrid one will be the go-to solution. But finally, yeah, we decided to be everything on site. The direct advantages that I see is like a more direct communication, because I remember in the past, like when I was communicating some of the action plans that I wanted to apply, is like the time zone between France and the US make it a little bit complicated. And then, in terms of the quick of communication, I prefer on site, but I see so many benefits also with the remote model. How could you describe how this remote model is enhancing the workflow of Blocksquare. How you told us that you are currently operating with Slack, but how you are managing the everything remotely today, Denis?
Well, the remote part is tough. There's asynchronous communication that goes on all the time. But there's also benefits. Like we're spread across all time zones. This means there's every at any moment in the day, every 24 hours, there's some progress being made.
Yeah.
It means that no new day is the same as the last day. There's always something new that happens overnight for somebody, right? And I think that's a very interesting value proposition as opposed to the office work. Of course, if the talent pool in Slovenia, which has 2 million people, would be big enough for us to scout somebody with that specific expertise when it comes to tokenizing RWAs, then we would maybe go your route. But we're based in Ljubljana. There's 250,000 people living here, 400,000 commuting every day, all in all. And that's everything. And then most of them have no clue about tokenization.
Hmm. All right.
So we had no choice. We had no choice.
And 35 people, you told me, huh?
Yes.
That's a big team.
36.
Yes, most of them are technical team, or what is the ratio?
I would say that the ratio is like 40% development, technical, 60% marketing, business development, sales, and community management, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay. I love product development. I love software development. That's something that I would like to focus my attention, and because I am the CEO, I have a lot of administrative stuff to do all the time. And but
what's your background, Pierre? What's your background?
I have been studying audiovisual for 2 years and especially into computer science. And then I went into a business school, and then I went to physiotherapy.
Oh, wow.
A huge gap. But during my physiotherapy courses, I launched Galileo with Nathaniel Debache, because I had a company in software development for medical doctors. I was a physiotherapist, but still developing software for medical doctors. And then in 2021, when the bull market was peaking, and the FOMC, well, we are going to increase interest rates, it's like I saw the market dumping, and I told my friends, like, we need to do something within the cryptocurrency. And I remember this story. Why did I launch Galileo Protocol? Is because one day my girlfriend was buying a Louis Vuitton bag on eBay, and she received beautiful pictures. She received the invoice, etc., and everything looked legit. But when we received the Louis Vuitton bag and the invoices, we recognized that the Louis Vuitton bag was fake. And then but we have the invoice and we have the certificate of authenticity, which was a paper-based document. So we decided to bring this invoice to the near Louis Vuitton shop, and they told us the invoice was photoshopped. And at some point I was like, yeah, but now with the blockchain and the NFTs especially, you can create a data container in which you can encrypt some of the characteristic of the bag, maybe the serial number, maybe the supply chain activities, maybe the life cycle. And then, yeah, with this concept of dynamic NFTs and this concept of data container, there is something that we can do for the luxury market. So that's why we decided to launch Galileo Protocol. And I remember also, as a crypto investor, I was investing into some real estate fraction with Realty, that I'm sure that you know it. And and my proof of ownership was an NFT. So I was like, okay, I know NFT for static images, monkeys, etc. But now we have Realty issuing an NFT as a proof of ownership. And then, okay, there is something that we can do, and especially to create a digital twin for luxury product. So that's why we decided to go in this niche. And by studying the market, I saw that some of the biggest brands has been trying to advocate also for such technology. And especially in France, there is LVMH, with Bernard Arnault, and they have been creating what they call the Aura Blockchain Consortium. And that's exactly what they do, is that they are issuing a digital product passport because, since July 2024, now the European Union is advocating for digital product passport issuance. So that's what they are doing, and especially with the blockchain technology. So yeah, all these elements was telling me, okay, there is something that we can do. We can position ourselves within the luxury market in order to combat counterfeiting and to promote this digital product passport for the luxury product. And especially one of the research and developments that we are doing is like we are trying to match what the European Commission is telling us with the mandatory the minimum information, the minimum viable information that a digital product passport needs to have in order to bring more transparency and traceability for the luxury product. So that's how we start for Galileo. But yeah, my next question is like I was telling you that I love product development and technical development. What are the difficulties? What are the obstacles that you are facing with tokenization product development? If you are facing technical difficulties, but I can imagine with all this concept of data container to be fully regulated, to comply with the European Commission, etc. What are the obstacles that you are facing on a day-to-day basis?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. I hope I won't take too much time from the time we have here. But essentially, when you're developing a protocol and a product suite like what we have at Blocksquare, you have several regulations that are in place and that were in place when we started. Then there's new ones that came later on. But essentially, the first one or the most important one we saw was AML, right? AML requires KYC. KYC creates this barrier for a lot of things. Like there's a barrier to enter. Like if you want to own any real estate tokens, you first need to identify yourself. So that's already an extra step, right? And then on the other end, if you're a property owner or a marketplace operator, you want to have that certainty that you're AML compliant, right?
Yeah.
So you have to have that ability to say no to someone who doesn't fit the investor or user criteria you have as a marketplace operator. At the same time, you need to create an environment that's still compliant, but liquid enough to function, right? Because otherwise it doesn't work. So we created this infrastructure where you have individual marketplaces being operated by individual companies. So it's not Blocksquare operating marketplaces, but it's our partners. And users can passport their identity between marketplaces. So they need to do KYC once, but then they can passport that data that is collected in the backend and share it with this marketplace operator. So they don't need to re-KYC every time, right? And at the same time, the operator of the marketplace can say no to somebody who has already made KYC, but they don't want to whitelist them in their offerings. So to be able to touch their offerings, there might be a myriad of reasons why. And this kind of really touches on AML regulation, right? And then MiCA came in place, and we were didn't know where these tokens that are being issued through our legal framework will fit. And the interesting part is, before MiCA, everybody was telling us this might be MiFID 2. But they were like, but it's not really MiFID 2 because you're creating tokens that have this economic rights, that hold economic rights, that derive from ownership of a real estate asset. It's not equity being tokenized. It's not debt represented by tokens. So it's not really MiFID 2, but we would put you there still just to be safe. Yeah. And then MiCA regulation came and it started addressing crypto assets, and so it's either one or the other. And now we figured out with CMS law and working with them that the tokens actually fit into MiCA regulation. And we thought maybe it's going to be in the so-called asset reference tokens regulation, which is really tough. But it's not. It's actually in the most general category of MiCA. And that, of course, reflects development can quickly change or impact how you have developed something, and then maybe you need to redevelop it. So it was a really good finding for us that with MiCA, we didn't have to change anything really, because we're AML compliant, GDPR compliant, and the issuance process is MiCA compliant.
Excellent.
Done. Yeah.
Perfect. And the things that I would like to understand is about the user experiences that you are proposing to your customers. I can anticipate, Denis, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you have two target group. You have the real estate promoter, or maybe the private owner of a real estate that wants to tokenize, maybe propose to crypto investors to diversify their portfolio. And the second target group is about the crypto investor or the investors that are looking to buy fractionalized real estate. Is it the case? Are they the two target groups that you are currently have?
Yes, it's essentially it's a B2B to C business environment because it's a whole infrastructure. So we speak with entrepreneurs, companies who would like to enter the RWA space, and they have usually already an existing real estate business that spans a couple of years, if not decades. So for instance, we signed just now recently with a company in the US, Vera Group, who launched Vera Capital, and they are in Florida, and they have been in the Florida real estate business for 20 years. And now they want to expand into RWA because they want to get to this global audience. So right now, they're only talking with larger ticket investors. They want to still keep larger ticket investors, but they have a lot of investors from outside of the US who'd like to invest in US real estate, but it's a nightmare. So with tokenization, that's solved.
And so if I am a private real estate owner and I want to tokenize some of my real estate, what is the user journey? What is the customer flow? Is it a tokenization as a software that you are proposing? So it means that you are giving me all the tools that I need in order to tokenize my real estate? Or are you involved in terms of facilitating the tokenization, maybe establishing contracts? Because at some point, I imagine that you are still issuing some contracts. What is the flow for private real estate owners to tokenize assets on your platform?
So what you mentioned initially, that's the goal, right? But it's not a technical limitation. We could give you all the tools you need, more or less, to kind of use self-serve yourself as a real estate owner to tokenize your asset. However, there's a big lack of understanding and knowledge. So what we do is we deal with a lot of the tokenization process ourselves. Even for marketplace operators, we help them in the structuring of each tokenization. It takes a bit more time, but we make sure that everything is in place. All the documents, we verify ownership or make sure that the assets verification process is done properly and conducted properly by the marketplace operator. If a real estate owner comes to us directly, we offer kind of a learn to earn or earn to learn type of process where anyone can tokenize their property to create an additional passive income in Blocksquare tokens by staking. So you come to us, we help you tokenize your property, and then you can take 10% of that property and stake it through Oceanpoint to earn BSD. And that's kind of a very easy process to do, and people, real estate owners, got a lot of education from it while doing it, and I think it's very beneficial for the real estate tokenization market in general, the approach. And I saw some other project who kind of took that same approach and saw some quite good success there.
And as an investor that I'm looking to maybe diversify my portfolio, you are proposing a marketplace in which the investor can find tokenized real estate, fractionalized real estate. How does it work?
Essentially, just as you described, you come to one of the marketplaces that are operating on our infrastructure. Currently, there's 15 different brands that basically operate their own marketplaces, and you create an account, go through the account creation. It's just email, password, basically, and then from there you're able to access the information, the listings on that marketplace. You can research the properties that are there, and then when you make a decision to purchase some tokens, you can engage with a specific asset. These assets might have different statuses, but essentially you can buy a couple of tokens for a couple $100 easily.
Excellent. And we have the possibility, I imagine, to pay in crypto directly.
Yes.
And to pay with fiat currency also for the more traditional type of investors?
Yes and no. So the main challenge we faced so far was getting a Stripe or a that type of processor to allow us to utilize them. And so far we were not really lucky. Also, in the structure we have, each marketplace should deal with that themselves. So we haven't focused on that side yet, but we focused on the stablecoin side. So you're able to purchase a property token using one of the stablecoins. Yeah.
I see. Denis, currently I am navigating your website. If you allow me, I will be sharing my screen.
Sure, go ahead.
And because what I would like to do with you, and maybe to describe all the product suites that you are proposing.
Sure.
And especially, I can see that you're proposing Spring, Delta, Tide, Wave, Oceanpoint. Could you describe briefly what are the direct benefits of this product?
So essentially, it's a 360 product. We split it into different stages based on kind of the tokenization life cycle of a real estate asset. So Spring is basically the protocol. It's the main thing that helps us, or that enables us to tokenize in a compliant, AML compliant way. Then you have the white label marketplace platform or marketplace where you can run your own online shop. So you're a business, you want your own online shop under your own brand, and that's where the white label comes in. There's a couple stages. So you basically, once you tokenize a real estate asset, you need to list it and offer it to investors, distribute, so through an offering. Then there's a part where you're distributing revenues and you're allowing maybe even trading peer-to-peer. And then there's a buyback process when you, for instance, want to de-tokenize the asset, you want to buy back the tokens from the market, and there's a process that's streamlined through a smart contract as well. Okay. And then last but not least is Oceanpoint. So what we figured out when we went into DeFi, or the opportunity in DeFi, is this liquidity pools, right? Everybody knows Uniswap and so forth. And the challenge when it comes to tokenized real estate is that each asset is tokenized. It's a tokenized asset, tokenized property, and has a very small market cap. So you get all these fragmented markets. And we said, what if we would, solve this, fragmentation by creating an aggregator of value that kind of acts as a middleware between each individual tokenized asset and Uniswap.
Okay.
Because creating, individual pools for real estate tokens on Uniswap is not feasible. These are the impermanent losses, and the slippages would be just too big. So there's no sense in doing it. It's inefficient. So you need to first aggregate the value of real estate tokens. And Oceanpoint kind of works as a liquidity engine. And we've been kind of bootstrapping the adoption of Oceanpoint, and now we've just released a white paper just last week, I think, of the roadmap to bring Oceanpoint from the staking kind of tool or
I think we lost Denis. Denis, if you hear me, maybe you can try to refresh your page and come back. Dear community, dear people that are watching us currently, I propose you to wait a few minutes before we are waiting for Denis to come back to the room.
I don't know what happened.
That's the magic of internet. Sometimes working, sometimes it's not working, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so
my laptop
I'm
switched to another network for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm going to recap what you said. So in today's world, if I have an apartment and I want to sell it, I need to find the buyers. That is making this market illiquid in some extent. Same for crypto. If I have some crypto and I want to sell it, I need to find a buyer. Or if I don't find a buyer, there is this liquidity pool that is provided by the project or by some of the investors with some token in comparison with USDT, for instance. And then if I don't find the buyers, I would sell into the liquidity pool. And what you are describing here is like you are trying to bring liquidity, not as a form of a liquidity pool on Uniswap, but through an aggregator. So it means that if I have a fractionalized asset, a fractionalized real estate, I will still be able to find liquidity if I'm looking to exit my position. Is it correct?
Yes, you're spot on. You want to join Blocksquare?
I have so much to do with Galileo, and now we have Kepler also, because I have been launching a sub project with my father. We are developing tokenization for the aviation industry. Yeah, bringing tokenization for diploma, for certification of the employees, but also certification for the spare parts of an aircraft.
Amazing.
And we have a lot of contract and deals, etc. And we are talking about thousands and thousands of blockchain transactions that will be issuing in the name of our customers. But you know what we are doing is we are developing an API based tokenization, because our customers doesn't know how to use MetaMask. So we are providing everything for them. They just have to click on one button, and we have the tokenization magic that is happening on the back end.
Amazing.
All right, Denis. A few questions about maybe the RWA and tokenization adoption. Like are you facing? What type of adoption are you facing with the protocols that you are developing?
I'll be frank. I mean, the last 6 to 12 months have been tough in general, I think. We have built a lot on Ethereum, so that's still one of the most trustworthy smart contract platforms out there. There's a lot of liquidity on Ethereum. But at the same time, I see that adoption is there, and you need to measure it in different metrics than maybe TVL measured from some protocols that can aggregate or lock up certain crypto assets and stuff like that. So DeFi measurements we are very modest versus DeFi measurements, but I see those metrics growing. I see that things are being adopted. We get new users every day, and we have a lot of demand in terms of marketplace operators. There's a lot of the real estate sector is looking into tokenization, and that's, I think, promising. And yeah, I would say that's it. Now, in terms of institutional adoption, I don't see institutional adoption really coming anytime soon. Institutions have now, in terms of crypto, they have received all the tools they need to not be in crypto, but to ETFs and
Yeah.
strategy and any vehicles that people have imagined. So I think that's kind of something where everybody in crypto always wants institutions, and now we have them. So deal with it.
And I assume, Denis, that you are talking with different regulatory bodies, but also notaries. I'm very curious and interested in knowing what are the feedbacks of the notaries about real estate tokenization.
So in general, they maybe heard about blockchain. Of course, they heard about Bitcoin. Some of them are very kind of more future oriented. Some are not. In general, understanding what we're doing is not so tough. That's my experience. Like overall, people get it. And maybe it's also how we explain it. Because we have used in the tokenization protocol or in the framework for the legal side, everything that's used traditionally already. So it's nothing new to them. There's a token loan agreement, there's a corporate resolution, and there's a process that makes this happen. And then there's some code on the blockchain that manages the issuance of tokens. And so it's kind of very simple for them to imagine it. If you draw it up even more so. So I don't see that being a problem. The main issue is market adoption on the demand side. And that's where we see Oceanpoint really coming in, because it allows that liquidity to be present even when the market's liquidity are thinner.
Yeah.
And it means that whoever is adopting already gets a very high level of service. Because if you don't get that service, if you're not able to buy or to exit after you buy, then that's a problem, right? And with Oceanpoint, we're trying to solve that issue. One other thing, we just got selected last month into this sandbox, the European regulatory sandbox. We didn't apply in the first cohort, and in the second one, we waited for the third one for the sandbox itself to have more experience, the regulators having more conversations with blockchain project before, and as well for us to be able to get our kind of experience forward as much as possible, right? To experience the market as much as possible, and really start talking about having discussions that are more tangible and not in the theoretic, but in the actual what's happening. Yeah.
Excellent. And Denis, I would like to finish with one last question, and especially about the roadmap for Blocksquare in 2025. And currently, I'm seeing the post that you have been publishing on X a few months ago in January 2025. So I will be sharing it, and if you can offer some insight about what are the key milestones that you want to reach in 2025.
So some of them we've already reached. We've released the new marketplace. It's something that the team has been working for the past year almost. We've established a new legal entity in January in Luxembourg, just based on the research we've done last year, and that's going to, enable us to bring this notarized framework
Okay.
to the market more efficiently. We have Oceanpoint version 2. That's in the making. It's a completely new, redeveloped basically from the ground up front end. Some of the back end stuff was, has been redeveloped as well. We're postponing a bit with the new website just because the current one is a great lead generator, and
Okay.
I'm really I talked with some founders who made the new website, and then they lost a lot of traction. So we said, look, let's wait just before summer. Usually things in real estate just drop over the summer. People just, don't do anything apparently. And so let's do this more towards July. Point token, the smart contract for phase 1 and 2 has been developed. It's now being internally reviewed for any potential, things that might need review or revising. And once this process is done, we're gonna push it towards Hawk and our auditing partners. Here, there's the open sourcing of the corporate resolution. In a nutshell, the legal frameworks that we've kind of come up with, you can't protect them. So if you can't protect something, then share it, right? And that's the key point of open sourcing the legal framework. The admin panel the work started a month ago on the new admin panel, and yeah, websites. Websites are cosmetics, right?
Excellent. I wish you success. I wish you the best. I hope that the crypto market also overall will recover. I think a lot of people was anticipating via the election of Donald Trump that the market will boom, but we all know that the market wants to go on the opposite direction every time. So I think everybody's worried right now that we have Donald Trump as the US president. So hope we will have a beautiful also end of 2025 because we all know that we are dependent somehow to the crypto market. Denis, it was a pleasure to talk to you, to have your vision about real estate tokenization, which I think will be the future of real estate investment. Makes total sense to put fractionalize real estate on the blockchain for the benefits we all know. Do you have a final remarks, Denis? I don't know if it's Denis or Denis. In France, we say Denis, but maybe it's Denis. But whatever. Do you have any final remarks, Mister?
Look, first of all, thank you for organizing this. It was one of the most pleasant AMAs I had in a long time. So thanks, Pierre, for that.
Thank you.
Very well prepared as well. So really thank you and the team for doing this, for inviting us. We need to, return the favor, and hopefully we'll see you in one of our shows in the future.
I wish.
So I'd like to, I see a lot of RWA projects, trying to join forces because, we're addressing the same issue, education of the market, education of the Web3 market. The Web2 market is going to be educated by crypto in general, but the Web3 market needs to understand RWA better. And so this is the mission that we can tackle only by, doing these things together. So thanks again. And yeah, regarding regarding the crypto markets and Donald Trump, we had certain expectations. I think they're being met in a way, but the markets are reacting in a different way than we hoped, that some hoped. Either case, we survived a couple of bad markets. We're going to survive the next one too, but I don't think it's over yet. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, Denis. Thank you. I think, as always, for the crypto startup, is like the investor state of mind. It's a game of patience always. If you are patient, you will be rewarded in some extent. Thank you, Denis. That's the end of this live, and I will be more happy to participate for one of your future EMA session also as well. Thank you for everybody that has been watching this live, and for the people that will be watching also later. We are going to recap also this conversation within a blog that we will be posting on Medium and also on the website. I wish every viewers, every listeners a good evening or a good morning. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.